Playing at the World Cup is the biggest dream of a lot of players, but not many easily get the privilege to do that. But it means so much that players sometimes pledge allegiance to a different country just to be at this competition. This year, and ahead of previous editions, we have seen different players do this exact thing, and we want to talk about a few of them today. These are 10 players who switched nationalities right before the World Cup. This video is sponsored by Supply Handlers. We'll start with Carney Chukwuemeka. After having represented England at youth levels, the former Chelsea man was hoping to one day play for the Three Lions. But after waiting for years with no hope of a call-up, he decided to switch to his country of birth in order to play at this World Cup. Chukwuemeka was born in Austria to Nigerian parents before moving to England as a kid, and as such could have played for any of those three nations. Seeing as England refused to call him and Nigeria didn't qualify for this year's World Cup, his only hope of making it to the big showdown this summer was by switching to Austria, and that was exactly what he did. His request to switch was only approved by FIFA in March, allowing him to make his debut that same month. 2 months later, he was included in Austria's World Cup squad. Worked perfectly for him, it appears. Meanwhile, 4 years ago, it was Bryan Mbeumo who was doing the same thing. He was born in France and had represented France at youth levels, but he had still not earned a call-up to the first team, not even for friendlies. So, ahead of the 2022 World Cup, he met with Cameroon legend Samuel Eto'o, who managed to convince him to switch allegiances to his parents' country, Cameroon. Mbeumo saw that that was his only chance to play at the World Cup, so he took it. He declared his allegiance for Cameroon in August, and 3 months later, he was off to the World Cup. He would go on to feature in every one of Cameroon's games at that tournament in Qatar. And ahead of that same tournament, Matty also made a big switch. He was born in England, and so, naturally, he was waiting and hoping for an England call-up one day. Seeing as it wasn't going to come, especially with Kyle Walker, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kieran Trippier all ahead of him on the right-back pecking order back then, he decided to find another way to go to the World Cup. Apparently, he's of Polish descent through his mother and, as such, could represent them at international level, so he decided that was his best route to the World Cup. He applied for Polish citizenship in late 2021, which then allowed him to be called up to the national team for the first time. A year later, he was on the plane to Qatar with the Poland national team, and he went on to play the full 90 minutes in all the 4 games they played at that World Cup. It seems like he made the right decision there. Anyway, let's come back to the present. Yoan Bonny just did this in the craziest fashion this year. The Inter Milan man was born in France and has represented the European country at youth levels. He waited for a senior call-up for some years, but it never came. Even his move to Inter Milan last year didn't do much to help his chances. Seeing as the World Cup was about to pass him by, he decided to make a last-minute switch. The striker only just switched allegiances in May, and just 1 week later, he was included in Côte d'Ivoire's squad for the World Cup. This decision received a lot of pushback as Bonny had not played a single game for Côte d'Ivoire before getting included in the World Cup squad. But well, it seems the coach saw the value he could bring to the team and chose to call him up. Rani Kadira is another player who switched this year. He was born in Germany and represented the country at different youth levels years ago. He waited for 10 years to be called up to the first team, but it never came. But he wanted to play at the World Cup before retirement, so he decided to do something about it. At the age of 32, he recognised that this could be his last chance to have a taste of World Cup football, so he decided to switch allegiances to Tunisia, his father's country. Mind you, he had previously rejected call-ups by the Tunisian FA some years back. But this year, he finally had a change of heart and decided to pledge allegiance to the North African country. His request to switch was only approved by FIFA in March, and 2 months later, he was included in Tunisia's World Cup squad. Another player who ditched a European country for an African one after previous rejections.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop.
Is Inyaki Williams. Born in Spain to Ghanaian parents, Inyaki could always represent either of those 2 nations at the senior level. and he actually did play for Spain, albeit only in a friendly against Bosnia and Herzegovina in 2016. That year, he was included as one of the standby players for Euro 2016, but just didn't make the final cut. During this period, Ghana had their eyes on him and were hoping to convince him to come play for them instead, but the striker wasn't thinking about it. Fast forward to 2021, still with no competitive cap for Spain, Inyaki made a statement saying he wasn't going to switch to Ghana because his culture is in Spain and he didn't think it'd be right to take the place of someone else who felt 100% Ghanaian and deserved to go to the World Cup ahead of him. Everyone thought that was him saying a final no to Ghana, but a year later, his tune changed. In July 2022, he announced that he was making himself available for the Black Stars ahead of the World Cup. He made his Ghana debut in September, and in November he was off to Qatar, making his World Cup debut at the age of 28. Right now, he's heading to his second World Cup with Ghana, so you could say he made the best decision 4 years ago. Another player who must feel like he just made the best decision is Christian Bulpato. The Sassuolo attacker was born to second-gen Italians and represented Italy at the youth levels. His dream was to play for Italy at a World Cup, but it is now starting to feel like the Azzurri do not want to return to the world stage, so he has decided to switch allegiances to Australia, his country of birth. But it's interesting to note that 4 years ago, Bulpato was busy mocking Australia on his Snapchat for losing to Japan. Later that same year, the coach offered him a spot in Australia's 26-man squad for the 2022 World Cup, but he turned it down. But well, considering Australia have now been to more World Cups in the 21st century than Italy, switching to the Antipodean country seems like a smart move for Bulpato. He made the switch in May and was included in Australia's World Cup squad without having previously played a single game for the national team, but he did make his debut before the World Cup, starting the friendly game against Switzerland. Next, let's talk about Ayoub Bouadi. The 18-year-old France-born midfielder had been representing France at youth levels for the past 2 years, but this year he made the decision to switch to his country of origin, Morocco. He officially made the switch in May, and just 11 days later, he was included in Morocco's World Cup squad. And almost the same thing happened with Haissem Hassan this year. Born in France to an Egyptian father and a Tunisian mum, he always had 3 options when it came to international football, but he chose France at youth levels. Anyway, seeing as a senior team call-up wasn't coming, the former Villarreal man decided to switch to his dad's country this year. He did so in March, and 2 months later, he was included in Egypt's squad for the World Cup. Finally, we all remember Diego Costa, right? The man who made the very infamous decision to switch from Brazil just before they hosted the World Cup. The decision was quite strange because most players dream of playing the World Cup on home soil, and Costa was almost certainly going to be selected for Brazil for that tournament. But he decided to switch to Spain, who were then reigning champions, and he ended up going to the World Cup with the European nation. It ended up being a terrible tournament for him. He played just 2 games, didn't score a single goal, and was booed by the Brazilian fans each time he was on the pitch. Spain ended up crashing out in the group stage. Now, a quick honourable mention before we leave, Dennis Eckert. He just switched from Germany to Iran this year and was included in Iran's World Cup squad. But they didn't wait for FIFA's change of association approval before including him in the squad, so we're wondering if that might have some consequences. Anyway, are there more players who switched nationalities right before the World Cup? Drop their names in the comments. Also, feel free to share with us your general thoughts on players switching countries. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.